So the topic today is transmission system troubleshooting, RF transmission system troubleshooting. So the transmission system, the coax, we'll focus on the coax and the antenna today. And those two components are probably the most valuable and most important components in a transmission system. So example of a transmission system on a structure, we got the coax and the antenna there. That's what makes up the majority of the transmission system. There are other components, but that's what we'll be focusing on today. So transmission lines routes the source voltage from the transmitter to the antenna system. Examples of transmission lines that we'll focus on is coax, heliax, rigid transmission line, and waveguide. Wow. An antenna system, a summary, a very simple summary. It emits a radio frequency signal of the transmission system. Test equipment. For troubleshooting, when we have faults and failures, we historically, we take the test equipment and terminate it directly to the transmission system. And there's a delay with that. When it happens, we have to go to the site. We have to take the station off the air. We have to terminate the equipment and figure out what's going on with it. If we have a test equipment monitoring system, alternatively, we can monitor 24/7. So an example of a test equipment is a vector network analyzer. We use the copper mountain system. That test equipment can be terminated directly to the transmission system, and we can analyze the performance and the characteristic of that transmission system from the point of the termination all the way into the antenna system. Allows us to know where the anomaly is, know where the fault is, or know if any changes are occurring. System analysis, an example of a sweep or TDR, time domain analysis, allows us to see at any given point in the transmission system what the characteristic is. So there's an example of a sweep in an antenna system from the point of the sweep to the point of the antenna. And our test equipment with American Amplifier Technologies is the Empower Controller VNA. We're showing that off this year. In addition to being a control system that you can bring in multiple monitoring points, we've embedded a VNA, a vector network analyzer test equipment, into the controller, allowing us to analyze the system 24/7, to know the characteristics, not having to go to the site, take the station off the air, terminate the test equipment. The test equipment is terminated all the time, so we can take analysis all the time, 24/7. An example of how we terminate that is the transmission system of the transmitter, coax, and antenna. At the beginning of that transmission system, we put directional couplers, and allows us to couple the test equipment via the directional couplers through ports into the transmission system, allowing us to analyze the system while the system is functioning. On the air, we can complete analysis. An example of a trace or a fault detection. The test equipment, when a fault occurs or when an anomaly occurs, we can now know right away. We can be alerted through our app. We can log into the equipment and have alerts. We'll be alerted right away of any anomaly, and not only that we have an anomaly, but where that anomaly is located. Through the Empower app, it allows us not only to be able to access the equipment directly, but to be notified, and via the app through our phone or smart device, we're able to log in and see that trace analysis. We could see the impedance characteristic at any point in the transmission system, and if there's a fault or anomaly, it alerts us right away. We can troubleshoot much quickly with the Empower VNA system. With the app, it's going to alert us instead of going to the site and terminating the equipment. The equipment's there all the time. It's going to hopefully eliminate downtime, reduce cost and the time delay between going to the site, figuring out what the problem is, and mobilizing crews. And we're going to be able to visualize that anomaly, visualize that fault right away, and know where the issue is at, where the problem's at, and be able to take action. The Empower platform, this year we're showing it off as in addition to our successful platform being a successful controller that you bring in multiple devices and monitor and control remotely through direct connections or through your app platform. We've added the VNA test instrument to it so you can take test analysis of the transmission system 24/7. And that's all I got.